Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Perkenalkan, nama saya Muhammad Sari Ramadan dengan NPM 2641194. Hari ini saya akan meng-share tentang 10 prinsip ekonomi. Ekonomi adalah bagian dari kehidupan kita sehari-hari. Setiap hari kita membuat keputusan tentang bagaimana membelanjakan uang, menggunakan waktu, dan memilih di antara berbagai alternatif. Keputusan-keputusan tersebut didasarkan pada prinsip-prinsip ekonomi, baik kita menyadarinya maupun tidak. Dalam materi kali ini, saya akan menjelaskan 10 prinsip ekonomi yang dibenarkan oleh N. Grogimankew serta membahas bagaimana prinsip-prinsip tersebut diterapkan dalam kehidupan sehari-hari dan dunia bisnis. Mari kita mulai dengan prinsip yang pertama.
The first principle is people face trade-offs. A famous saying in economics is, there is no such thing as a free lunch. This means that nothing is truly free. Whenever we choose one thing, we must give up something else. For example, students often face a cairhel at Rakan, choice between studying for an XMA, exam and spending time with friends. If we choose to study, we sacrifice our leisure time. On the other hand, if we choose to relax, we may receive lower exam scores. Economics also discusses trade-offs between food and clothing, leisure and work, and efficiency versus equity. Efficiency means making the best use of scarce resources to maximize production. Meanwhile, equity means distributing resources fairly among members of society. Sometimes increasing efficiency may reduce fairness, while increasing fairness may reduce efficiency. Therefore, governments often need to balance these two goals. The second principle is the cost of something is what you give up to get it. This idea is called opportunity cost. Whenever we make a decision, we compare the costs and benefits of different alternatives. For example, should you continue studying at university or start working? Should you spend tonight studying or go out with friends? Should you attend class or stay at home and sleep? Every decision has an opportunity cost. The presentation also gives the example of Kobe Bryant. He decided not to attend college and instead became a professional basketball player immediately after high school. By making that choice, he gave up a college education, but he gained the opportunity to earn millions of dollars in his basketball career. This example shows that opportunity cost depends on the value of the alternative we sacrifice.
Prinsip ketiga adalah orang yang rasional berpikir pada margin. Rational people think at the margin. Orang yang rasional membuat keputusan dengan membandingkan manfaat tambahan dan biaya tambahan dari suatu tindakan. Perubahan-perubahan kecil ini disebut perubahan marginal. Sebagai contoh, bayangkan kamu sudah belajar selama 4 jam. Haruskah kamu belajar 1 jam lagi? Jika 1 jam tambahan tersebut secara signifikan meningkatkan pemahamanmu dan hasil ujianmu, maka itu adalah keputusan yang baik. Namun, jika kamu sudah lelah dan tidak bisa berkonsentrasi lagi, manfaat tambahan yang kamu peroleh menjadi sangat kecil. Oleh karena itu, orang yang rasional akan melanjutkan suatu aktivitas hanya jika manfaat marginal lebih besar daripada biaya marginal. Prinsip yang keempat menyatakan bahwa orang merespon insentif. Insentif adalah sesuatu yang mendorong seseorang untuk mengubah perilakunya. Sebagai contoh, toko menawarkan diskon untuk menarik pelanggan. Perusahaan memberikan bonus untuk memotivasi karyawan. Pemerintah dapat menurunkan pajak untuk mendorong investasi. Pada umumnya, orang akan memilih pilihan yang memberi manfaat lebih besar daripada biaya yang harus mereka keluarkan. Oleh karena itu, insentif memegang peran penting dalam pengambilan keputusan ekonomi.
The fifth principle explains that trade can make everyone better off. Trade allows people and countries to specialize in producing what they do best. Instead of producing everything themselves, they exchange goods and services. As a result, production becomes more efficient. Costs decrease, and everyone benefits from a greater variety of products. Trade is not only beneficial for businesses but also improves consumers' welfare. The sixth principle is markets are usually a good way to organize economic activity. In a market economy, households decide what to buy and where to work. Businesses decide what to produce and whom to hire. These decisions are coordinated through prices. Economist Adam Smith introduced the idea of the invisible hand. The invisible hand suggests that when individuals pursue their own interest, they unintentionally help improve society's overall welfare. Prices provide important information about supply and demand, helping producers and consumers make better decisions. Therefore, markets often allocate resources efficiently without central planning. Although markets are generally efficient in allocating resources, they do not always work perfectly. In many situations, markets are able to match buyers and sellers and produce goods and services efficiently. However, there are times when markets fail to achieve the best outcome for society. When this happens, governments scrutamuli may need to intervene to improve market outcomes and protect the public interest. This principle is known as governments can sometimes improve market outcomes. It explains that government intervention is sometimes necessary because markets cannot solve every economic problem by themselves. The goal of government policies is not to replace markets, but to help them work more effectively and fairly. One of the main reasons for government intervention is market failure. Market failure occurs when the market does not allocate resources efficiently. As a result, society does not receive the maximum possible benefit from the available resources. The first common cause of market failure is externalities. Externalities occur when the actions of individuals or businesses affect other people who are not directly involved in the transaction. These effects can be negative or positive. A common example of a negative externality is factory pollution. A factory may produce goods at a low cost, but it also releases waste into the air or nearby rivers. This pollution can harm people's health, damage the environment, and reduce the quality of life in surrounding communities. Because these costs are not paid by the factory, the market fails to reflect the true cost of production. On the other hand, positive externalities also exist. For example, education benefits not only students but also society because educated people are generally more productive and contribute to economic growth. Vaccination is another example because it helps reduce the spread of diseases and protects the wider community. The second cause of market failure is market power. Market power occurs when a single company or only a few companies dominate a market and have the ability to influence prices. With limited competition, businesses may charge higher prices, reduce product quality, or limit consumer choices. This situation is not beneficial for consumers and reduces market efficiency. To solve these problems, governments use different policies. They may introduce environmental regulations to reduce pollution, impose taxes on harmful activities, provide subsidies for education and healthcare, and enforce competition laws to prevent monopolies. These policies encourage businesses to operate more responsibly while protecting consumers and society. However, government intervention should also be carefully designed. Too many regulations or unnecessary policies can increase costs for businesses and reduce economic efficiency. Therefore, governments must balance the benefits of intervention with the potential costs. The eighth principle of economics states that a country's standard of living depends on its productivity. This principle explains why some countries are wealthier than others, and why people in different countries have different levels of income and quality of life. Productivity refers to numeratul surplus persetutia, amount of goods and services that a worker can produce in a given amount of time. In simple terms, the more productive workers are, the more value they create. Higher productivity allows businesses to produce more without using significantly more resources. As a result, companies can grow, pay higher wages, and become more competitive. Countries with higher productivity generally enjoy many advantages. First, workers usually earn higher incomes because they produce more valuable goods and services. Higher incomes allow people to afford better housing, healthier food, and other necessities. Second, productive countries often have better healthcare systems. Higher productivity increases national income, giving governments more resources to build hospitals, provide medical equipment, and improve public health services. This helps people live longer and healthier lives. Third, productive economies usually invest more in education. Better schools, universities, and training programs help people develop new skills. And higher productivity supports better education. In addition, higher productivity leads to a better quality of life. People often have access to better transportation, cleaner environments, improved technology. Businesses can also invest in innovation, creating new products and services that improve everyday life. Living standards can be measured by comparing personal income and the total value of goods and services produced by a country, which is commonly measured by gross domestic product or GDP. In general, countries with higher GDP per person tend to have higher living standards because they produce more goods and services for each citizen. For example, countries such as Japan, Germany, and Singapore have achieved high living standards by investing in education, technology, innovation, and skilled workers to compete globally while providing better wages and public services. Productivity can be improved in several ways. Governments can invest in education, infrastructure, and technology. Businesses can improve worker skills through training and adopt modern equipment to increase efficiency. Individuals can also contribute by continuously learning new skills and for real, improving their knowledge. The ninth principle explains that prices rise when the government prints too much money. Inflation means a general increase in prices throughout the economy. One major cause of inflation is excessive growth in the money supply. When too much money circulates, each unit of money becomes less valuable. As a result, consumers need more money to purchase the same goods and services. The final principle explains the short-run relationship between inflation and unemployment. This relationship is illustrated by the Phillips curve. In the short run, reducing unemployment may increase inflation. On the other hand, reducing inflation may temporarily increase unemployment. This trade-off helps governments make economic policy decisions based on current economic conditions.
Sebagai penutupan, 10 prinsip ekonomi membantu kita memahami bagaimana individual, pelaku bisnis, dan pemerintah membuat keputusan di tengah kondisi sumber daya yang terbatas. Prinsip-prinsip ini menjelaskan berbagai konsep penting seperti trade-off, biaya yang harus dikorbankan, biaya peluang atau opportunity cost, insentif pasar, produksi, inflasi, dan campur tangan pemerintah. Dengan memahami prinsip-prinsip tersebut, kita dapat membuat keputusan yang lebih baik dalam kehidupan pribadi, dunia bisnis, maupun kegiatan ekonomi sehari-hari. Terima kasih banyak atas perhatian teman-teman. Saya akhiri. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.